Sports Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
It means a lot. I mean, I've played since my freshman year, but I've always thought I have one more year. But now that I'm down to my final few games, it's obviously a little sad, but I'm just ready to keep playing. I love these guys. I love this team, and I will always love this team.
Working on my pass game a lot, working on reads and knowing where to throw the ball and where to read the defense when I'm throwing routes as well. Weight room really helped a lot. Building team chemistry also. I wanted to be a leader this year, so I thought I needed to work on that a little bit. So far, I think we're doing all right.
I'm happy for our guys because our young guys get to run our offense. So, at the end of the day, like I told our seniors, this game is a whole lot bigger than who their coach is and who our coach is. So, it was focused. It was about the playoffs, but like I said, our young guys get to run our offense for a week. So that.
I mean, this is what you dream about. This is what you train for. It's what you sacrifice. It's what you play for. To have the ability to play on the biggest stage in baseball. You have to savor it, be honored by it. Doesn't happen a lot. It's not easy to get here. So enjoy.
Oh, and welcome on into 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. It is a sports day here on a Friday afternoon. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, sent across from Mike Corson and Mike Hesher. It's the Mike and Mike show. It's Aaron, Mike, and Mike in the PM now as we've crossed across that midday mark. Fellas, how are we doing on a Friday?
More than watching the newbie struggle when it goes ding. Not just once, but lots of dings.
5 times. I don't quite know what happened over here. All those clips played this morning. We'll have to look into what Mike Hesher did to my sound clips.
Sabotage.
But we will still be able to run through all of those. We'll have the latest in the sounds of the past 24 hours. But on today's show, got a great one coming up for you here as I got to sit down with Connor Nickel over at Sunflower Sports Solutions. We talked football and volleyball and got a preview of everything going on tonight. Then you'll also get to hear me sit down with head coach of the Salina Central Mustangs, Mark Sambo, as we broke down the matchup between the Great Bend High Panthers and the Salina Central Mustangs tonight. Week 9 of football going to be on the road in Salina Central. Corson, where are you going to be at tonight?
Be in Salina Central.
That's how you know it's a big game, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Mike Corson will be there. We'll have the coverage. I'll be on the call, and he'll be there getting the best photographs in the business.
A little bit of video tonight. Yeah, 8-9 matchup. Local team had to be there.
And we'll have all of that covered in the sounds of the past 24 hours. But first, we'd like to remind everyone that Sports Day is brought to you in part by the Boone Cougar Booster Club, continuing their efforts to make the Barton Athletic Department the best in the country, as well as Marmies, brought to you in part by Marmies, anyway, the 10th on 10th Street in Great Bend, proud sponsors of Sports Day. Getting into our sounds of the past 24 hours, or the sounds that would have been potentially, as Great Bend football gearing up tonight. You heard from senior Matthew Johnson. He's talking about loves the team, ready to strap it up one more time, and hopefully a couple more times after that.
Yeah, and as the number 9 team on the road, on paper, it would be their last game. I kind of don't think it might be, so that's why I'm headed up there. And I do believe it's one of the more intriguing matchups in 5A, which is, of course, what an 8-9 game should be, based on the history last year, based on kind of got a really solid Great Bend defense, kind of a high-flying Salina offense, playing in the cold really for the first time this year. How's it going to play out?
I'm excited to see that Great Bend defense. Hallmark of these past nice wins has been the defense being able to stand up, get some turnovers, play some stout defense on that side of the ball. Excited to see them continue that. And like you said, cold weather, to me, that always kind of leads towards limiting the offense. You might have to keep the ball on the ground a little bit. That's been the way Great Bend has been favoring to play their offense here in recent weeks, really leaning on the ground game and getting Cody Miller going. 80 yards. That's going to be the threshold the Panthers are looking for tonight, as that's the magic number. When Miller rushes for 80 yards or more, Panthers win. When he doesn't, they're 1-3 this year. Unfortunate on that mark, but Great Bend gonna be on looking for a win in Week 9 tonight against the Salina Central Mustangs. I'll have the call over on B1043 The Point, starting my pregame coverage at 6:30 with old Randy Wetzel in the box with me providing color.
Yeah, and not just the cold tonight, but you're also going to have a little bit of wind. I think it's supposed to die down after dark, but still some wind. Got a quarterback with over 2,000 yards on the other side. Hopefully those are limiting factors. Love Great Bend secondary, so I don't know if I'm going to go on a limb and call it defensive struggle, but watch it.
It'd be impressive if we got a defensive struggle. That's kind of what the temperature might lead us towards, but I would expect to see maybe some potential 4 points. We've seen both teams able to score in bunches. Salina Central coming off of a 70-point win over Arc City last week. So Mustangs, they're humming a little bit now, but you can hear more on that Mustang team here in a little bit when I sit down with old Mark Sandbo, talk to him about what's going on over there in Salina Central. You also heard from Hoisington Cardinal senior Tony Moore, the quarterback over there for Hoisington, as the off-season grind really paying dividends. He was a good player for the Cardinals last year. This year's really just elevated that, stepped his game up even more, helping carry Hoisington to an 8-0 regular season as they'll now face Phillipsburg in Week 9 at Elton Brown Stadium.
And that's a neat thing for those kids as seniors going into the playoffs. We probably got a couple more games at least. But yeah, Tony Moore's throwing for more passing yards than we've usually seen in Hoisington. Cardinals have one of the best offenses in Class 2A, so good things going a little north of Great Bend.
It was a nice little stat I saw from the voice of the Cardinals, old Cole Reif. First Hoisington quarterback with over 1,000 passing yards in almost 10 years at Hoisington. Last closest was in 2020, just shy of 1,000, but Tony Moore, an impressive throwing the ball, also pretty good runner of the football as he'll try to get the Cardinals past Phillipsburg tonight. We'll have coverage of that game starting at 6:30 over on 100.7 Eagle Country with kickoff to follow, of course, at 7. Then a big game that a lot of people are thinking could go one way or another, go either way here, as Larned, they get to host the TMP Monarchs. I've heard from Connor Nickel a little bit earlier, heard from some talk in the building. A lot of discussion on which way this one could go. I'm excited to see Larned under first-year head coach Brady Keith, how they're going to respond in the postseason, how they're going to respond to getting to host a playoff game, and what kind of atmosphere we have over in Larned tonight.
Yeah, maybe it comes down to who has home field advantage, which Larned has earned. I would say probably their strength of schedule is a little better. You throw in 2 quality losses on 6 wins, so maybe that tips the scales on paper to Larned, and maybe the home field advantage tips it in reality.
And I would be very curious just to see what Luke Fisher can do. Similar story to Great Bend, where if you can get that running back going in Larned, goes a long way towards getting your team moving in the right direction. Fisher over 1,000 yards for the Tribe during the regular season. A couple of matchups last night. Probably the biggest surprise from last night in the Class 5A bracket. Mays, the 11 seed, able to defeat Goddard, who was the 6 seed, 31-22. Not a big victory, and Mays, they are traditionally a power, but Goddard this year looked sharp, and now Goddard going home.
Do you think Avery made one more appearance?
Maybe
No, you
he
say
came
Mays
back.
has been a powerhouse. Well, it's because they had Avery Johnson, so they were supposed to maybe take a fall this year. Obviously, a team that knows how to play in the playoffs, and that probably showed last night.
And nothing like a long road trip. It's not like Mays to Goddard. You're having to strap in and go for a long ride. But the 11 does make the trip to the 6 seed, gets the upset victory. In the Class 2A, we saw Nemaha Central flexing their muscles a little bit. They defeated Pleasant Ridge 48-0, and then Sabetha doing the same against Atchison County as Sabetha won 71-6. A couple of more, a little closer matchups in the 8-man Division II bracket, as we saw La Crosse defeating Sublette 60-30, and Little River defeating Oxford 46-24. Could have some intriguing matchups in the future there in that 8-man Division I bracket with those victories.
I'm going to throw in a soccer score here. We talked to Chewy Loera yesterday about how tough the WAC is. Derby was, I think, Liberals, May South's only loss of the year. Liberals, Dodge City's only loss of the year. Liberal goes down, opens the playoffs, and defeats Derby last night. So a Western Athletic Conference team moving on in 6A when maybe that wasn't expected. We were thinking Dodge City Derby.
Western Athletic Conference, they got some real talent in soccer out here around in Great Bend, Hayes, Garden City, Dodge, Liberal, all pretty talented soccer teams so far this year. Getting into the 8-man Division 2 scores, Central Plains Oilers starting it off strong last night against Thunder Ridge. Oilers win a 56-8. Then over the Frankfurt was able to beat St. John's a 62-0, and rounding out our area coverage, Victoria defeating Logan Palco 54-0. Exciting matchups in all classifications going on around the state last night, and that continues tonight as we'll see plenty more of those really premier matchups. Moved it up to the college level in the Big 12 on Saturday. Pretty excited for this one. We'll see number 6 Oklahoma. They're going to take their talents over into Lawrence. Still have a matchup with the Jayhawks coming up. KU coming off their bye week. A lot of people were hoping to see Jalen Daniels potentially come out, maybe be back from injury. Has been announced Jason Bean going to be starting again for the Jayhawks.
Yeah, obviously the Lady Panthers headed up to Lawrence. That's at 10:35. So I'm thinking, do I have time to go over and heckle one Urban Meyer before I go over to the cross-country course? Probably not. I have liked some of KU's matchups before. For whatever reason, this one doesn't strike me the right way. I think Oklahoma might roll them.
Oklahoma, they've got a lot of talent over there. Brent Venables, he's doing a lot of great things with that Sooner team and doing it with some local kids. I know you're a big fan of Jaron Kanak. He's a kid out of Hayes, now linebacker for OU. So I don't know. KU's offense at times has looked very good, but I don't know if they've had to go against anything quite like the OU defense.
Yeah, OU's so up and down, comes out hot, almost gets beat last week, so you never know where they're going to go, but you would think after playing a game like they did last week, Coach is going to have things righted the ship a little bit this week.
And right, OU also got to be thinking that they could potentially try to bolster their playoff hopes if they are looking to make it into the college football playoff. Right now, they're at 6, so they'd be on the outside looking in, and a win over KU might not boost them any further in the conversation, but a loss to the Jayhawks would certainly hinder any playoff Big 12 aspirations this year, which...
And you'll still have some big games later this year with Ohio State, Michigan, and some of the other ones. So, yeah, plenty of room, but if you get knocked out, obviously you fall way further than you can climb.
Unfortunately, it does look like if a Big 12 team does make it into the college football playoff, it's going to be one of those that are leaving. They're deciding to fly the nest, as it'll either be Oklahoma or Texas, or Oklahoma sitting 4-0 in conference play, Texas 3-1. Oklahoma 7-0 overall, Texas 6-1. So the only loss for the Longhorns coming to OU in the Red River rivalry a few weeks ago. The Chiefs, Broncos facing off on a Sunday. Chris Jones, he knows that the Broncos record may not be the most impressive thing on paper. However, with a lot of history, a lot of rivalry games against the Broncos, he knows that you can't overlook anyone, especially division opponent.
And I do think Denver is getting stronger. What strikes me this time will be the weather. Once again, everybody's used to this warm stuff, and I know they're professionals and it doesn't matter, but if you add precipitation into the mix, it always becomes kind of a wild card, especially when you have a guy like Mahomes making acrobatic plays, and maybe he will be hindered a little bit.
I think the big thing for Kansas City this year has been the Chiefs' defense. We've seen huge strides, and I'm curious how bad can the offense perform? Like, if you give Patrick Mahomes a top 5 defense every year, that just seems almost unfair with the amount that he's able to do for your offense, knowing the floor of what he makes your offensive production. If that defense can put out and play the rest of the season the way they have early this year, Kansas City could be even more formidable, or at least as formidable this year as they have in recent past, and it's already looking like they could kind of sleepwalk through the AFC.
Well, they got the one guy, I'm not going to try to say his name. He's back. McCole Hardman, thought that was a great addition. Nice punt return, nice reception last week. And another big question, what kind of coat will one Taylor Swift be wearing at Mile High Stadium?
I always hope we can get out of a show without mentioning Taylor Swift. And just yesterday you worked it in when we were talking about like college football. I didn't even know how that happened. You blindsided me with her in the land of college football.
Professional.
But like you said, Charles Omenihu, he's coming back for Kansas City. The versatility he adds, you get him and then Chris Jones, Mike Dana, George Karlaftis, all those guys mixing in on the D-line provides a lot of pressure. Will be keeping my eye out for Nick Bolton. Broken or dislocated wrist, still looking to see the outlook on him, how many games he'll be out with that, but a major player for the Chiefs in that defense. And the Broncos, obviously, they know stopping the Chiefs. Chiefs have one of the highest, I believe it's a top 3 pre-snap motion percentage in the NFL. That's a lot to deal with. A lot of communication has to go on the flip side of that to make sure everyone's on the same page. So you can check that out on Sunday when the Chiefs and Broncos kick off for Mile High at 3:25 with pregame coverage starting at 2 over on B104.3 The Point. And NFL last night, Thursday night football, as we got to see the Bills and Buccaneers duke it out. Bills were able to get a 24-18 victory, over the Buccaneers. It was a little bit, that score, I think, a little closer than the game actually was. Bucks scored late. The Tampa Bay offense just couldn't really move the way they needed to. I believe they got the ball down that 1 or 2 scores with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They ended up taking about 7 minutes off the clock to score, and they do get the 2-point conversion, but it just didn't really feel like the Bills were in too much trouble at all at the late stages of that game.
No, and even both of those passes, the touchdown pass went off the helmet, the 2-point went off a guy's shoulder pad somehow. But at the end, Baker put the ball in the end zone. You rarely see the ball hit the ground with that many guys around. So as this kept going, like, is somebody going to get underneath that? And I guess luckily for Buffalo, it hit the ground. Kind of lackluster. Really wanted to see both quarterbacks. And I know Buffalo wants Josh Allen to run more, and 24 points.
That's what I think.
Buffalo of the past.
I think Buffalo is going to be content at the moment just getting the wins. We've seen them struggling a little bit right now, and so just managing to stay afloat, trying to find that identity of Buffalo football again will be important for them moving forward. But like you said, at some point you want to see these teams that are supposed to be elite, supposed to be dominant forces in the football world, you want to see them flex their muscles a little bit. We saw the Chiefs do it a little bit against the Bears earlier this season, but Bills have looked pretty shaky in the AFCs and currently in second place in their division behind a Miami Dolphins team that has looked very dominant at times this season, but also had their own shortcomings.
Yeah, and maybe by not allowing Allen to run, trying to preserve him a little bit, take away a little bit of his fire. Seems like he's one of those guys like a Brett Favre type. You hit him, he gets fired up, plays better. Well, if you mute that, does it carry over into other aspects of the game? I really wanted to watch. It's kind of boring last night.
And the Bucs will take their 5-3 record to a November 5th clash with Cincinnati. That'll be a rematch of last year's divisional round matchup that saw the Bengals beat the Bills 27-10. And then last night in the NBA, we got the first glimpse of Damian Lillard in a Milwaukee Bucks jersey as we saw the combo of Dame and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Looks pretty intimidating as the Bucks were able to beat the 76ers 118-117. And I got to say, I think when Giannis is able to not have to be the dominant scorer on that team, does a lot for what he's able to do. He's pulled down 13 rebounds, also got 2 steals there in the opening night for Milwaukee.
118-117. You talk about a defensive struggle.
Yeah, right. That's two offensive powers going against each other there on the hardwood. And rounding it out in the MLB, the World Series gets underway tonight, and it'll see the Texas Rangers taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll have coverage of that game starting at 6 o'clock right here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. That rounds out what would have been our sounds of the past 24 hours. Instead, we only had about 5 in there that got to play. So it was like the sounds of the past 12 hours. Nice little half split there. But, Corson, we got a cross-country team. Believe they're on the road right now heading to state.
Yep, they were probably got out of town about 45 minutes ago, headed to Lawrence, Rimrock Farm. So we'll talk about St. James Academy. Obviously has been a force at cross-country and track. So 3 years ago, no team at state. 2 years ago, 6th at state. Last year, they completely dominated the field. As Coach Lashley has said, until somebody can beat them, they should be number one, and they do have all their kids back, whether they're all healthy or not. But bottom line is a lot of the coaches in Class 5A have said Great Bend is the number one team. So Great Bend has been dominant, the WAC, the regional, and that was largely without Mackenzie Premer. She rejoins them today. Going to be fun to see how this all plays out with everybody's best teams in Lawrence tomorrow.
And we got to hear a little bit from Mackenzie Premer, and here's what she had to say about being able to help out the cross-country team at state.
It was definitely an eye-opening experience because, we do the training and it's supposed to, replicate us getting ready for meet, but until you're there and giving it your absolute all. I was good for 3 miles, and that last 0.1 got me because my legs just gave out because I'd never trained that hard for anything.
Well, so that was when she opened her cross-country career. Obviously, she'd practiced. That was her first meet where 3 miles, around 6 minutes a mile, she'd never done that. Legs give out, still finished the race in 7th. Goes on a couple weeks later to run Rimrock for the first and only time, sets a school course record there. So fun because Marissa Boone is on the team, had the school course record last year. Addie Nicholson was right behind Mackenzie when she ran this year. So those three definitely are going to be high scores for Great Bend. It's going to really probably come down to sometimes those races a second or two where you're getting points that really matter, and then where your 4 and 5 girls come in, how many girls they can beat out.
Great Bend, they've got a 3-headed monster there up at the top, like you said, of Premer, Nicholson, and Boone. But then a lot of quality. I'm excited to see how the Lady Panthers do at state. That competition going on this weekend just outside of Lawrence at Rimrock Farms.
Yeah, and you saw Morgan Beckwith, senior, that missed a year, keeps getting better and better. By far runs a PR last week. Great sign going into state. So now maybe, and then Eliana Beckham has been a stable runner for 4 years now. So there's 4, 5, 6 girls in there that could all score at state, all pretty close. He loves that pack style running. They won't necessarily do that at state, but bottom line is you'll finish a lot of those runners in the top 50 or so.
And that will wrap up our Sounds of the Past 24 Hours and sports headlines here Friday. Stick around as we'll have Connor Nickel from Sunflower Sports Solutions coming up to talk Friday football, followed by a lot of other sports here on Sports Day. Stick around for it all on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
Attention high school seniors, the time to think about that next step is right now. Get everything set up in a few hours at Barton Community College's Senior Day on November 8th. At Barton, you can take classes, transfer to a university, or enroll in a technical program. Did we mention we have $6,000 in scholarships up for grabs? Sign up online now through November 1st at seniorday.bartoncccc.edu to attend.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Sean Powelson, president of Your Local Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people, so I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. Because at Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
Final Fridays on Forest is going on tonight, and we want you guys to come out and have some fun. We've got A&G Catering.
Yes.
We've got Flatlanders.
Lumpies. Lostos.
Dry Lake. Charlie's. Still Scarecrow is going to be performing.
Still Scare, they're coming back.
All right, and you can throw some axes with Hatchet Action.
Throw axes. Check out the top 20 under 40.
That's a big deal. And you also can become an instant finalist in the Shop at Home for the Holidays $10,000 shopping spree.
Gosh.
Come out for all of it.
All of it.
Tonight.
Yes, 5 to 9.
Final Fridays on Forest.
I mean, we'll be back next year.
Yes, but of the season.
Yes, of the season.
You're going to want to be a part of it. 5 until 9. Come out dressed to impress.
Yes. I mean, at least a people watch. Come on.
Don't miss out on the opportunity to become an instant finalist with the Shop at Home for the Holidays $10,000 shopping spree brought to you by Bauer Computers and Mater Plumbing, Heating and Air, your Bryan dealer tonight at Final Fridays on Forest from 5 until 9, courtesy of Eagle Radio.
You don't have to be a pro to capture memories this holiday season. At Nextech Wireless, get the latest phones to share those precious moments. For a limited time, get the new iPhone 15 or Samsung Galaxy S23 on us. Nextech Wireless, home on the range.
When it comes to car maintenance, it's good to know a local guy that can get things done. The Eller family has been in the auto repair business in Great Bend forever. Greg Eller continues that long tradition of helping people. Eller Automotive Repair specializes in wheel alignments, oil changes, and general maintenance for all makes and models of cars and small trucks. Open 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4 Fridays. Eller Automotive Repair at 915 Morton, right behind Great Bend Appliance, Furniture, and Sleep Source, 10th and Morton.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Wright, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
Smart stays on the road. That's why it's in your engine. Cenex Maxtron synthetic diesel engine oils give you the smartest oil for the toughest conditions. These premium oils maintain 80% of their viscosity throughout the drain interval for superior engine performance across extreme temperatures. That horizon looks good with the competition behind you. Cenex Maxtron diesel engine oils. Oil that runs smart.
Contact American Plains Co-op Fuel Department in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor today.
From the Mayo Money Management Studios, 1590 KVGB Great Bend and 95.5 FM K238CK Hoisington.
Barton Community College helped me get a jump start on college with early college opportunities. With Barton's help, I earned my degree at the same time I graduated from high school. You can take classes on campus, online, and even at your high school with teachers you already know. With tuition rates starting at $50 per credit hour for select Kansas high school audiences and scholarship opportunities, it is easier than ever. Barton Community College helped me get one step closer to my dream, and it can help you too. Learn more at highschool.bartonccc.edu.
If you need physical therapy, consider Advanced Therapy in Great Bend and Progressive Therapy in Larned and Hayes.
We had a lady that was having some severe back and hip pain, and we worked with her for about 6 to 7 weeks, and we were able to actually restore greater than 80% of her mobility, and we were able to keep her from actually needing that surgery for about 4 years.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Amy Herrera, Regional Retail Manager for your local Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time and I've helped many people navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people. I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you how we're committed to serving you in our communities. At Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
It's Friday, and that means game day in the Golden Belt. To help us prime the pump, Sports Day brings you Sunflower Sports Solutions, Connor Nickel.
And welcome back into 1590 KVGB for Sports Day here. Aaron Clark sitting down with Sunflower Sports Solutions, Connor Nickel. Connor, so glad to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And obviously we got several huge games, especially in the Golden Belt. I think on K-Preps and on S3 this week, we highlighted what were the best matchups for each class. Out of the 9 classes, one game in each class on the West. I think that the 5A game involving Great Bend and the 2A game with the Indians and TMP are 2 of the closest on-paper games for sure.
And I think we can get right into that Great Bend game first. Obviously, it's one I'm a little more familiar with. I've done a little bit of digging into it. And I think Great Bend going to have their work cut out for them trying to stop this Salina Central offense. I believe they put up the most yards in 5A this year. What do you know about the Mustang squad?
Yeah, it's real interesting. Coach Mark Sandbo has done a great job on the offensive side now for several years. They've gone from Gross at quarterback to Gordon at quarterback. Before then, they had Jackson Kavanaugh, who had spent some time with in Kansas State. Hunter Mowry, their number 1 wideout, is a really exceptional player. They obviously Elijah Wilson in the backfield, too, well over 1,000 yards on the ground. They had a really good tailback last year when they beat Great Bend by 5. Salina Central, they were a top 5 or 6 offense in 5A last year, basically exactly there this year, too. It's certainly on the Great Bend side, and I've said this in a very complimentary way. If you look at Great Bend on a per-play basis, per-play data, and you're like, why have they lost 3 times? And obviously they've lost 3 very, very close games, but Great Bend is actually better on paper than what their 5-3 mark shows. Number 2 in scoring defense in 5A. Defensively, they have been really good. Only giving up 5.3 yards per pass, only giving up 4.3 yards per rush. Whether it be Kramer or Kern, Johnson, Jones. I mean, there's a number of guys on that defense, and I think that this defense has gotten kind of overshadowed some because some of those close losses. But the GB has been exceptional on that side. I also think too, Salina Central is going to have a slight edge on offense, but as we've seen in a couple games this year, specifically last week and specifically the game in week 1, if Great Bend can get a big defense or a big special teams play, Cooper has scored several times, defense, special teams this season, I think that game could swing GB's way tonight. But I anticipate a very close game. I've got it, really pick 'em almost, but 2 differing styles. Can Great Bend's defense and making a few plays, defense, special teams, counteract Salina Central's great scoring offense?
And that's what I've seen all season from Great Bend. When they're playing their best, the defense is really helping the offense out. They've got a lot of talent on that side of the ball, and I think Great Bend, if they can get that Mustang offense slowed down a little bit, maybe put, like you said, make some plays, make some big swings. Cooper Omont, back-to-back weeks with a kick return touchdown, did it against Garden City last week to kick off the second half for Great Bend. Excited to see what the Panthers can do, but also want to turn our attention to the Larned versus TMP game. Looking like it could be a pretty nice matchup for the opening game on Larned's new field.
Yeah, I think this is a really intriguing contest for a lot of different reasons here. First, if Larned wins, it matches the most wins for Larned in at least 28 seasons. And I believe before then, I've got all of their wins and losses back to 1995. So it's been a really nice season for them. Obviously, first-year coach comes on in, doubles their wins from last year. Points on this, Luke Fisher, well over 1,000 yards on the ground, 19 rushing scores. The Larned is so ground-heavy. 89% of snaps are on the ground. Last year, it was around 11 teams, all classes in Kansas for 11-man, ran the ball 90% of the time. So they're running at a rate that you see Smith Center, Holton, Conway Springs, Garden Plain do. Last year, crazy stat here, in the first 3 games of last season, they threw 46 passes. All season this year, 37 passes. So Larned, again, has gone really ground heavy. Now, TMP, 4-4. Quite honestly, they've played a much stronger strength of schedule. The MCL, as normal, has been really good. TMP has went through a litany of injuries this season. Their starting quarterback was lost for the year early in their season opener. Their backup has been hurt most of the season. So Griffin Shoemaker has kind of been their overall athlete, punt returns, kick returns, has kind of played that wildcat quarterback. And defensively is where they've really hung their hat on now for 4 years. They've been top 15 in 2A scoring defense all of those years. T.J. Gottschalk, a former great TMP player, has led that defense. And, of course, they get in on marginal points last week. Russell, Peaburg, and TMP are all 1 and 3 in district. The TMP gets the 3 seed because they beat Peaburg for the 4 by 1 marginal point, and Peaburg beats Russell for the 5 by 1 marginal point. So extremely close there. I think TMP came out very elated last week after a close loss to Beloit, knowing A, we are in the playoffs, and B, we don't have to play Hoisington. I've got TMP, if they are healthy in the backfield, as a slight favorite. TMP's strength comes up front. Kendall Walker's a 4-year starter. They've got some other nice players, too. Ryan Casey. Austin Gilbert is their rangy defensive end. Had a pick 6 a couple of weeks back. It's going to be a cold one tonight. I think which team scores first and which team gets to 20 points tonight probably wins.
And I'm interested to see how that cold weather plays a factor in all of the games tonight. But you mentioned Phillipsburg. Want to briefly hit on Hoisington versus Phillipsburg. Not sure, personally, I think Hoisington should win this one, but don't want to overlook anyone when it comes to the postseason.
Certainly. Yeah. Now, obviously, Hoisington and Peaburg have matched up several times in multiple, high-profile playoff contests. There was a state semifinal game several years back. Hoisington on paper is definitely the favorite. I think, obviously, Ross Coombs, a Peaburg graduate, had spent a number of years on Coach Baird's staff and has now gone back home. Coach Baird, when I talked to him in the summer, very, just complimentary of Coach Coombs and his job he did with the Cardinals, and very, very much understanding, hey, Coach Coombs has the opportunity to go back home. I think Peaburg has really probably overachieved this season. They've struggled the last couple of years. They had a nice win against Russell a few weeks ago. They've done a lot of positive things. They've been very competitive. They have a 1-score loss to Smith Center. But as I've said, really all season, I don't know if Hoisington's offense can be stopped. You're looking down the line at a southeast of Saline likely matchup. I think with Peaburg, they're going to play them close. This is going to be a competitive game, but I think Hoisington just has too much.
I think it'll be a good opportunity for Hoisington to maybe flex their muscles a little bit, show they're a quality team. Obviously, everyone knows Cardinals play a dominant brand of football, but always nice in the first round of the playoffs to get off on a strong start. I think Hoisington will have the opportunity to do that. That is Sunflower Sports Solutions' Connor Nickel. Now, Connor, you going to be around here to talk about some volleyball right after this?
Yes, I will.
Hey, we'll be having it right here on Sports Day here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Stick around for more Sports Day coming up right after this.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Ryan, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
It's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
And welcome back into Sports Day here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Aaron Clark sitting down with Connor Nichols of Sunflower Sports Solutions. Now, Connor, state volleyball coming up. What can you tell me about some of the matchups that we're going to see?
Yeah, right now pool play has started for some of the classes and will continue throughout the day. And obviously, the Final Four will be tomorrow for all classes. Some just major statewide storylines to kind of check out. First of all, 6A, Skylar Pierce, the Nebraska commit, Olathe Northwest senior, consensus best player in Kansas, by some listings the best player in the country. Incredible athlete, jumping ability. She's played for Team USA. Olathe Northwest has not won a state title in her 4 years. They've been second once. Olathe Northwest has 5 Division I players. And the question is, can Olathe Northwest and Skylar Pierce, who is truly a generational talent, break through and win? 5A, St. James. They were on ESPN a few weeks ago. This is a great team, nationally ranked team. Setters committed to Southern Cal. Both of their back row players committed to Division I Power 5 schools. They've moved up in the top 15 in the country. Can they get through a loaded 5A? 4A, I think you're looking at, can a Clearwater, just had a great season, Andale, beat a Bishop Miege? That's the overarching question in 4A. 3A, loaded. Beloit's had a great program now for 10 plus years. Can they win their first ever state title? This is the best team that they have ever had. They've lost twice back in August to a 5A team and to a 6A team. Obviously, Smoky Valley at state for the 4th consecutive year. A lot of great talent there. Hope Duncan going to Fort Hays, one of the best all-around players in Kansas. And then you've got Olathe Heritage Christian, who, of course, has won 3 consecutive state titles, the last 2 in 3A. 2A, major question is, could it be Hillsborough Smith Center round 3? Smith Center won the state championship game in 2021. Hillsborough won it last year. Coach Nick Lynn for Smith Center, the Hall of Fame coach, and very likely his last season with all these seniors, can Smith Center finish with the state championship? That would be a really cool feat. 1A Division I, LR, just down the road from Great Bend. They win the state championship last year. They've got a lot of great players back. Obviously, Olander, Eck, all really good. But Montezuma South Gray, the best season ever for their school. 1 loss. Kaylee Moyer is an outstanding setter. The coach's daughter, Vi Helm, and all-around senior Allie Reed, a great hitter. Could it be LR and South Gray in the championship match tomorrow? And then 1A Division II, the
Venture
Wolves.
Corporation is a homegrown company with almost 50 years of experience in asphalt, paving, and construction. And they need equipment operators, mechanics, and CDL drivers. Venture offers many benefits, including 401k and Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Call Leslie for all the details. Work for a family-owned and family-oriented company that is here today and will be here in the future. Venture Corporation, South Highway 281, Great Bend, is an equal opportunity employer.
Welcome back to 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM for Sports Day. Aaron Clark here, sitting down with the head coach of the Salina Central Mustangs, Coach Mark Sambo. Thanks for joining me today, Coach. Excited to talk about some Salina Central football with you.
Yeah, appreciate you having us on.
So, first thing I noticed when looking at this team was expecting to see the Gunnar Gross, your quarterback from last year, was a dominant player, expecting to see some stats from him, but a different player at the helm of Salina Central football this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, we lost Gunnar early in game 1. He played 7 snaps. We talked about arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the state. He's probably also arguably one of the best football players in the state. So that was a big blow, but our kids responded, and our backup quarterback has been doing a terrific job, and we've talked about it and kind of shouted from the rooftops that we kind of knew what we were getting with Jack, and there's a lot of programs at our level and across the state that would like to have him as QB1. So we felt pretty fortunate that our number 2 is as good as he is. But definitely hurt losing Gunner, one of the best workers, one of the best leaders that we've had in our program, and for him to put himself in a position to have a great senior year, and just like that, he's become kind of a student assistant for us. But he's been terrific. He's handled it well, and he's still a fantastic leader for our program.
It's great to hear that he's stepping into that kind of assistant coach position to help fill out the knowledge of Jack Gordon, because one of the first things that popped out to me, Gordon's numbers looking pretty good this year. 1,700 or over 1,700 yards passing, 17 touchdowns. Has there been a change in game plan going to the QB2, or is it still the offense as usual?
Yeah, it's still pretty similar to what we do. Obviously, Gunner did some things a little different than Jack. I mean, Gunner was pretty heavy in our run game, and specifically our Q run game. He bounced the box a little bit, but Gunner's 6'2.5", 210 pounds. Who's one of the fastest guys on our team, and Great Bend's pretty familiar with that with the Sherman kid last year. That was a load at that position, so pretty similar players in that realm. But no, with what we've done with Jack is just kind of use the attributes that he excels in, and we try to incorporate that into what we do within our offense. And he's been operating at a really good click.
And so something that's got to make it a little easier on the offense, you returned a lot of talent on that offensive line. Speak to me a little bit about the trenches, what you got going on up front.
Yeah, I mean, we're really good up front. We talk about it as being, 5A good, and, we step off the bus. I think we look the part as a 5A offensive line, and then, when you watch the tape on us and, you see how we handle the line of scrimmage, we definitely hang our hat on what we do up front. Coach Chesney, who's a former Great Bend guy.
I was gonna say, you got a pretty quality offensive line coach.
Yeah, you know how good he is. He's fantastic. We talk about our staff across the board. We got guys that can do it at any level, and I'm really fortunate that usually I'm not the smartest one that steps when I step in the room, but I got some smart ones beside me that make our program look really good. So, and Coach Chesney's a big part of that, and he's developed a culture, a commitment, and they're obviously doing some really good things in our run game with 1,000-yard rusher. Very limited in sacks. Our pass pro is really good, and then Jack's now a 2,000-yard passer as well.
And look, you mentioned a 1,000-yard rusher, Elijah Wilson, very productive this year, nearly 1,200 yards on the ground. What kind of player is he? What can we expect to see from him on Friday?
Yeah, Salina Central has a rich tradition of having really good backs, and Elijah comes from good stock with that, and he's had a fantastic year, kind of a program guy. He's behind Millen and Moore, Kenyon for 3 years, and Micah was a good back for us for 2 years, and kind of waited his time, and now it's his time, and he's making the most of the opportunity. He's a little bit different. He's dynamic, but he's also kind of a physical runner, maybe more so than Kenyon was. We feel like we can up the ante a little bit between the tackles with him, and he can handle it. I think we carried him against Andover Central maybe 33 or 34 times, and he handled it really well. And that's probably a number that we would have stayed away from with Kenyon, just because the course of the pounding that has over a game. So, although Kenyon had his things that made him really dynamic and really tough, and speed was one of them. Elijah's a trackster too. He's got some good speed, but he's also dynamic and physical. And I think you're seeing with our offensive line play and the good backfield back that we have, we're definitely reaping the rewards of it.
And so rounding out, looking at the offense, you've got some productivity out there at wide receiver. I believe senior Hunter Mowry.
Yeah. Our receiving core is really good. We returned, I think 3 out of 4 from last year's team. All those guys had Friday night reps and playoff experience, and they've been in the fire a little bit. And this year they're really answering the call. Hunter's doing a fantastic job. I think he's just south of 800 yards, and We got another one, Riker Grossner, who's a transfer from Baldwin City. Came in this year, who's also elevated our core a little bit. I think he's a 600, 700-yard guy as well. So, two guys, two really good weapons and within our league, which is really good, very similar to the Western Athletic Conference. Very good football. I'd argue are as good as anybody in the league. And then we have somebody like Sam Payne, who returns for us last year, and Tate Gary, who's a junior, who's doing a really good job for us. It's kind of some possession guys, but also some guys who can go catch the ball and go 60, 70 with it. So we feel pretty confident wherever we're throwing it that good things can happen. We talk about being accountable to one, making one guy miss, and good things happen in the spread. And, we got 5 guys in the backfield within both our back and our receiving core that we feel can do that.
Aaron Clark sitting down with head coach of the Salina Central Mustangs, Mark Sandbo. So, Coach, turning our attention to your defense, kind of having to rebuild up front on the defensive line this year.
Yeah, we kind of thought that might be a strength, and I still feel like it is. Our linebacking core is really good. Ty Young returns, Donovan Johnson, Jesus Delgado's a sophomore, but a really good linebacker. And then we did lose some guys in the trenches, but we thought we'd be as good, if not better. And I think we are. We're just, we're playing teams within the AVCL that we're returning a lot of guys that we're going to take a step in the right direction. We feel like there's a lot of uptick in our league. We were just thinking we got to match that, and you're seeing a lot of guys who are a lot of teams and programs that are really content with running the football and doing it at 3 yards a pop. That definitely wears on you, and I think our defense is bowed up when needed to, and put us in a position to have the success we've had this year, and put us in a position, to be 6-2 and host the first round playoff game.
And so, Coach, talking about the playoffs, kind of got to get ready. It's a different mindset as now you lose, you go home. What are your final thoughts heading into this matchup with Great Bend on Friday?
Yeah, everybody's knotted up now again. Everybody's 0-0, and it kind of starts a different phase of your season. And we talk about the pressure of it, and we harp within our program that pressure's a privilege. You got to embrace it. And there's a pressure to this game, but it's a lot of fun to play in these November football games. It's a lot of fun to play against good teams that if you don't show up, if you don't play your best football, you're going to be packing it in. And like we talked about with that pressure, there it is. But you got to embrace it. You got to play loose. You got to have fun. We definitely can't turn it over. We need to be clean. We need to execute. We need to play good fundamental football. We need to make tackles in space. And Great Bend puts in a lot of conflict, kind of with the same similar mindset. Put people in space and see if we can make one-on-one tackles. And if you don't, they're running for a while. So we're going to have to play awfully good, awfully sound football, physical and emotional football, which is required in November. And it could be a fun night for us from Friday.
That is head coach of the Salina Central Mustangs, Mark Sandbo. Coach, thanks for sitting down with me today.
Hey, no problem, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Good luck on Friday, and we'll have more Sports Day coming up right after this.
Let's face it, talking about life insurance is never easy. But after we watched a close friend lose her husband with no insurance, we decided that wasn't going to happen to our family.
Yeah, but shopping for life insurance can be almost as difficult as talking about it.
But then we heard about Ethos Life Insurance. They're a new kind of life insurance, built for people on a busy schedule who don't have time for unnecessary doctor's visits, fine print, or hidden fees. Who want to keep it simple.
I couldn't believe how easy it was. We answered a few basic questions, and within minutes, we had an estimate of what it would cost and what sort of policy made sense for us.
I never imagined life insurance could be so affordable.
And accessible.
The peace of mind knowing that our future is secure, it just removes a lot of the fear around getting older and...
Yeah, the unexpected.
I'm glad we talked about it.
I'm glad we went with ethoslife.com.
Go to getethos.com now for your free estimate. That's getethos.com. Getethos.com.
Marmy Auto Group makes it happen. Central and Western Kansas. Check out our selection of new and pre-owned inventory. Marmy's friendly staff offers top quality service that you've gotten to know over the years. When your existing vehicle needs parts or service, our experienced team will get you back in the game this season. Marmy Chevrolet, GMC, Ford and Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep Ram, parts, service, and body shop. Visit Marmy Auto Group on 10th Street or marmys.net. Marmy's, make it happen.
Venture Corporation is a homegrown company with almost 50 years of experience in asphalt, paving, and construction, and they need equipment operators, mechanics, and CDL drivers. Venture offers many benefits, including 401k and Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Call Leslie for all the details. Work for a family-owned and family-oriented company that is here today and will be here in the future. Venture Corporation, South Highway 281, Great Bend, is an equal opportunity employer.
Going strong since 2011, it's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Brought to you by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
And welcome into 1590 KVGB 95.5 FM for Sports Day. Just wrapping it up, I'm Aaron Clark, your host on this beautiful Friday. A little bit chilly, getting into some football weather. Ramping up in studio after a great show. I got to sit down and talk to Connor Nickel. Always love talking to Connor about football, volleyball. We get some great insight from someone who just has a vast well of knowledge. Then I also got to talk to Mark Sandbo. Excited to see what Great Bend has in store for the Garden or for the Salina Central Mustangs. Should be a pretty good matchup. Going to be a big test for the Great Bend defense. We've seen them play very well here in recent weeks. Great Bend's defense averaging or allowing just over 14 points a game, right over 2 touchdowns a game. Been an impressive display from Coach Lutz' squad, and I'm excited to see that matchup play out. But Hesh, you get to go to Larned tonight, be the voice of the tribe, filling in. What are you hoping to see from that Larned squad?
Well, Cole said it a couple of weeks ago. I'm to the point where I just want to see a good game. I mean, you know, I am from Larned, so I suppose down deep I'm going to pull for the tribe, but I just want to see a good game. I want to stay warm because it's a little bit chilly. But, you know, I'm talking to Jonathan Zweigert, the TMP Marion play-by-play guy, and they have some skill players that are like freshmen and sophomores. They're pretty young, pretty big up front, but, you know, Connor Nickel and you and Cole Reif all kind of think TMP might be slightly favored, so it's going to be interesting. And I'm interested to see what how the revamped stadium handles all the fun tonight at Larned.
Should be an exciting time, and like you said, it's going to be football weather. It's finally going to get down. It's going to be close to that 32 mark at kickoff, if not dipping down below there during the game. Either way, pretty sharp contrast from last week. It was about 90 degrees at kickoff, so some great Kansas football for you there, Kansas weather during football season. But we will have all of your results from the weekend of sports. That includes a Friday night football, all the state volleyball, state cross country, all that you could hope to hear about. The NFL will also have college football and the World Series. You can hear all about all of it on Sports Day here on Monday, 12:30 to 1:30 on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.